Hey guys, Jacob Kell here. Welcome back. In this video, I'm excited to talk about kind of a continuation or part 2 of the previous video that I posted, which was about finding alignment, where I really broke down what is alignment, spiritual alignment, and how can you begin to step into your ideal path and life scenario. But in this episode, I'm really going to focus on talking about what is authenticity and why being authentic is a core attribute and a necessary part of the equation for being in alignment. So what you find is with people who are very much in alignment with their soul's purpose, with their heart's desire, they are naturally authentic. They radiate an authentic presence about them. And this authenticity can be perceived by other people. This authenticity is what makes you genuine, it makes you real, and allows you to build much deeper relationships and come from a place of compassion and kind of heart-centered awareness. So I want to start by talking about how do we become inauthentic. And the more that we can understand our inauthentic selves and where that's derived from, the more we can begin to shed light on it and then transition to changing it. So our inauthenticity, or our inability to follow our heart's desire and be honest about it, comes from a variety of distortions of reality that you've bought into believing. Now, a lot of this comes from social conditioning and the way that you were raised, the type of household you grew up in, the type of community that you grew up in, your friend group, social circles. All this happened most likely during your formative years in school and high school, where your brain is much more impressionable and you're actually doing a lot of work to fit into the group. Now, this is a big one when it comes to inauthenticity. A lot of us have this innate desire, and it makes sense, and this is a biological trait, and it's a historical trait, is that we strongly desire to fit into our group of people, a group of people. We want to be accepted. Now, this is natural, and there's nothing wrong with that desire. However, in our modern era, it doesn't always serve us well. It doesn't serve our individual best interest and our heart's desire. Historically speaking, it would have been absolutely vital to fit into your pack or your group of people because it was necessary for survival. The community was a vital part of survival. And if you can imagine being outcasted from the community, it might be death. So we evolved to naturally seek that inclusion. However, in our modern era, what's happened is this is really turning against us. The desire to seek approval from others actually kind of vacuums away your own authenticity and your own power. A good way to view this is that if you want to be a part of a group, or you feel there is a subconscious need to fit in, you will adapt your traits and your personality to fit what you think the group wants or what others want you to see. And so that's why when it comes to authenticity, it's really about carving your own path. And it's relinquishing fear of non-acceptance. Because it's kind of a reverse psychology here, if that's not the best way to put it. But what happens is, by actually being authentic at the risk of not being accepted, you will become more accepted and more trusted by the people who actually matter, or by the people who you will benefit from having in your life. Being your authentic self and expressing your own truth in whatever way that is, really following your heart, is going to align you with the ideal people to welcome into your life. And it's going to get rid of those people who don't serve you or don't serve your highest interests. So when you are rejected for being yourself, for being your authentic self, that's okay. It's actually a blessing. Because what the universe is doing for you is separating you from those people who no longer serve you, and you will be accepted fully by those people who do have your best interest in heart and who do want to see your authentic self flourish. And really cultivating this authenticity is a great means, it's a necessary means of finding your alignment and thus your harmony with the universe. So what I want to talk about right now is 5 ways that we can start to implement finding our authentic self right now. And these are things that you can start doing on a daily basis, and you can start being mindful of them. And I wrote these down so I don't want to miss anything. Now, one of the first main ways is to be fully self-accepting. This means integrating your good and bad selves. Whatever you perceive to be bad about your own personality, things that you try to hide from others, you need to own these things up, integrate them into your present being. And I'm going to talk about how to do that in just a moment. And you need to really be vulnerable with others. You need to not be afraid to express the fact that you are a flawed creature. We are all flawed beings. That is the part of the experience. So when I talk about integration of the selves, you can think of it in this way. You have your egoic constructed version of self, which is a combination of belief systems that you may have been inherited or learned through your upbringing, and these are running on autopilot and just like a program. So this egoic version of self is an autopilot program that's running. But you, there's 2 selves here, you are actually the conscious observer. You're both at the same time, but the true you is the one who can observe. That's why humans have the unique ability to analyze themselves and kind of view their own thoughts, behaviors, and actions from almost a removed mental space. That's your true self, your true space, the observer. Now, the observer is the infinite one, and we'll get into that in other videos. But what you want to do is really fully accept your egoic constructed self for everything that it entails and all of the experiences it has brought you. One of the best ways to do that is through meditation. And I'm going to be posting an integration meditation which does exactly this coming up in the next few days, because I think it's really a profound way to gain a full self-awareness and really transition into being your more authentic self. So the integration meditation involves acknowledging all of the components of your egoic mind and self, all the good and bad, kind of viewing it from a removed standpoint, and really fully mentally accepting it, being grateful for it, and doing it without judgment. When you go into something like an integration exercise, you're going to confront the parts of you that are bad, are flawed, so to speak. There's really nothing good or bad going on. You have to view this from a place of neutrality and non-judgment, so as to fully integrate it and really just accept it. Accept that that is your being. Then from here, you can begin to move past it. For a second thing you can begin to do right now to become more authentic is to explore and document, literally document, your values. So a great thing you can do is literally take out a sheet of paper and go over, scan through your mind and your own feelings, document your values. And these are the things you believe you should live by to be a good person, just a genuine, good, thoughtful person in society. Your values might mean sticking up for people. It might be not stealing. It might be providing social service. It could be whatever you want it to be, but these are things that you think are a just, moral way to live your life. And really document these values and make it something that you reflect upon daily. Because when you live by your own values that come from your heart, you are setting up the foundation of alignment. And you're setting up really a lifestyle of authenticity, because authentic people know their values, they're clear on what lines they won't cross, and they really stick up for themselves and for others with this deep sense of character. And that's the other thing that comes out of doing this, out of documenting your values. You can even call them character traits. This really cultivates a strong character with a strong foundation, which is immeasurable in terms of really being authentic and shifting into alignment, which after all is what this is all about. Now, a third and extremely important trait to start practicing is telling your truth. Now, this is a difficult one, and we can come up with a lot of justifications on where we can, silence our truth. And it's very easy. And this is what we do the most often in order to feel accepted or to try and fit in with other groups of people. The problem is when you don't tell your truth or you manipulate your own truth, what you're doing is stifling your own soul. You're kind of smudging out your own sense of character and identity, and you're putting down the authentic self and giving power to an inauthentic self. So this is really dangerous over time. And even if it's a small lie, you think, well, it really has no big impact. Over time, those build up, and they're stored inside you, and it really does eat away at your soul, so to speak, in just a very subtle way. So one of the things to do is to just start being honest and telling your truth, whatever that may or may not be. Now, don't go around attacking people with your truth. You think this should be so-and-so way. No, guard it close to your soul and those around you who you immediately interact with. And just practice cultivating, sharing your honest opinion and your honest feelings, your honest truth, whatever that truth is to you. Now, this is easy to argue back and forth. Well, can I lie to protect someone? This question I find myself asking a lot, and there is no distinct yes or no answer. Can you lie to do good for others? I think it is possible, but you need to look at yourself and be honest about where your intention is coming from, because when it comes to issues like this, the universe sees intention. So if your intention is positive and you really are acting out of a space of light and consideration and compassion, then it may be okay. But in general, not sharing your truth is dangerous. And that'll really tear away at your authentic self and build up the inauthentic self. A number fourth way you can begin to develop or harvest your authentic capacities is to engage in authentic, genuine self-development. This is really looking at yourself and finding ways that you can improve your being and do more of what you love to do. This self-development means exploring your passions, exploring what brings you joy, and doing those things, finding a way to start doing those things. An example is this video right now. I consider myself to be great at speaking, and I want to make a career of simply speaking to people about these universal truths. I think that would just be a phenomenal job. Why not? So one of the ways that I can begin to do that is simply by making these videos. What that does for me is it helps me get into alignment and in vibration of the ideal person that I want to be down the road. And even if I don't get any views, what I do get out of this is the experience. I become even better at speaking. And I know that over the course of a year, I'll look back and say, wow, I've really changed. In a similar way, you can focus on exploring your passions, your true heart's desire, and what's going to bring you joy in your life, and begin to just come up with ways to start doing that, to start implementing it into your life. Because if you do something that puts you in alignment with your ideal future self every day, even if it's just a few minutes, you're going to build the mental muscles to keep that thing going and to build momentum. And your life will begin to shift toward the more passionate, aligned state, which is what we want to be in. So just keep going. And one of the key things I want to mention about authentic self-development is to not take advice from people who aren't doing what you want to be doing, or who don't have exactly what you want to have in your life. So it's super easy to take advice from mom and dad, or so-and-so, he's a wealthy person, he knows, this person, that person. If they're trying to give you advice, but they don't have exactly the type of lifestyle that you want, their advice is invalid to you, okay? So stop seeking it. Don't seek approval from people who aren't doing what you want to do. It would be like if I were to take advice for running my yoga retreat business from my father, who is a real estate investor. It just doesn't work. He has no idea what that world is. I don't want to be like him when I grow up. Not that his life is bad. He has a great quality of life. It just doesn't work. I would rather take advice from someone that I see is going on yoga retreats and doing the type of thing that I want to do. That advice is way more absorbable, it's way more meaningful, it's impactful, and it keeps you in your heart center, instead of distracting you with outside information that is irrelevant and really pulls you out of alignment. It shifts you into inauthenticity if you're taking advice from the wrong people. Now, another important way, and this is a big one, to shift into your authentic self is to face your fears. This is probably the most horrifying one, because we humans have concocted all sorts of fears which stem from belief systems which are distortions. So let me repeat that again. Fears are not inherently real. Fears are delusions, and we create them in our own minds. Our conscious observer, soul self, is not fearful because it's a non-existent, it's not an actual state. It's only a state which exists in delusion and distortion, which is constructed from our egoic brain, okay? So all of the fears that you do have, they're coming from a story or a belief system that is propping those fears up. So, for example, a lot of people have a fear of public speaking. And this is coming from some program that's running automatically that says that I can't do public speaking, it's embarrassing, people aren't going to accept me, people don't want to hear what I have to say. There's a lot of other underlying harmful belief systems attached to that fear, for example. So your fear of public speaking might also mean that you believe on some level that you're not accepted or that your opinion isn't valid. So when you do have the fears, and this is part of that authentic self-development, is to practice facing them. And if you don't face them, you're not ready to, you don't have the muscle to, begin to examine them deeply. Now, through observation and inquiry, when I say, okay, I have this fear, why? Why do I have it? Keep posing yourself the question, and go back through your mind, back through your past, and say, where could this have developed from? And try to unwind the tight rope, so to speak. And eventually you will unwind. Just through sheer intention, you will unwind that fear. And then through action of actually doing something that you're fearful, you snap the cord, so to speak. and you do it again and again and again, it's no longer fear. You've shifted your being. You've become more authentic because you ditched inauthentic baggage, which is fears. So those are the best 5 ways. To go over them one more time. Number 1 is integrate yourself, the good and the bad, the egoic and the observer. Integrate, invite, and accept fully yourself. Number 2 is explore and document your values. Documenting your values of the way that one should live life develops your moral character. It makes those muscles stronger, and it really is a key attribute of someone who is authentic. They live by defined morals. They stick up for themselves and others, and this is their guiding beacon when moving through situations. Number 3 is tell your truth. Even those small lies that we think are no big deal gradually decay our authentic self. They move us more toward inauthenticity because it's not sharing your light. It's not sharing your truth and your heart's feelings. Number 4 is engage in authentic self-development. You guys know what I mean. If you're watching this video, you are engaging in authentic self-development. You are engaging in inquiry. You're beginning to learn more about yourself so that you can improve yourself. This leads to authenticity naturally. It's a natural byproduct. Last one, number 5, is face your fears. If you don't have the muscles to face them right now, begin to observe them and inquire upon them. Asking questions, asking for their resolution. You can even say to the universe, thank you, universe, for this fear. I no longer wish to experience it. Please present me the opportunity by which I will uncover its origin and dissolve it. Really just putting that intention out of the universe is profound. What will happen really within, it might be a week, it might be a month, but really not too long, is the exact scenario that you need to resolve that belief system will enter into your life, and you will process it. It'll be kind of like a spark, like an unwinding of those belief systems. So guys, those are the best ways, I think, that you can become more authentic right now. This authenticity will change your life, and if you practice these things, take a few minutes every day just to acknowledge each one, your life will begin to change very quickly. And as you cultivate your authentic self and you be more authentic, you will snap into alignment. And as always, it's all about alignment with your soul self, which will equate to harmony for you. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment down below and let me know what is your favorite way to be authentic or practice being authentic. Or just give me your feedback in general. If there's other ways that I didn't present that you know of, I would love to include them in future videos. As always, if you're listening to this on the podcast, do me a favor, post a review if you like this. If you didn't like it, tell me why. I really do want to improve the quality of these videos. And if there's something that you want me to talk about further or a different topic, just let me know. I would absolutely love to interact with you guys like that. As always, thank you. I'm very grateful for you and this opportunity to share. I love you, and namaste.